So aren't all religions basically the same? Hey, I'm Travis and welcome to ThinkKnowLive.Media. It's where we come together to comment on, respond to, and break down some of our favorite books and biblical topics, as well as talk about some things going on in social media and in pop culture. So, if you are into that sort of thing, do us a big favor and smash that subscribe button and the bell to alert you every time we post up some new content. And remember, you can also connect with us through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So maybe you've heard the story by now about the blind man and the elephant. And if not, very quickly, there once was a group of blind wise men, and they had never encountered an elephant before. So they were tasked by the king with trying to explain what an elephant is like. And they position the wise men at different points of the elephant, and they begin to touch the different areas, the tail, the trunk, the leg, and so on. And because of their very different points of reference, they can't reach an agreement on what an elephant exactly is. You know, the reader soon understands that the goal of such a story is to convince us that we can all be right and accurate about who or what God is. It just depends on our point of view, right? Wrong. Very wrong. Let's talk about this here. So it's funny how easy it is to fall for such a cleverly crafted story. You know, the reader or hearer, they're tricked into overlooking one very important element. We, as the audience, know that the creature in question is, in fact, an elephant. You see, the truth has been communicated to us by the writer or the storyteller, and we see the error in the blind wise men relying on their senses and their past experiences alone. You know, we shouldn't be wowed by these wise men. We should pity them. And it's even more pitiable when we become them in our own belief about who God is and what He's like. So let's talk about belief in truth. And I want you to ask yourself this. Do your beliefs on a particular topic make it true simply because you believe it? Have you ever been wrong about something you deeply believed was right? And if you're going to be honest, and I am too, the answer to that is quite obviously yes. In Greg Koukl's The Story of Reality, he's going to take us one step further. And he says this, he says, since believing something can't make it true, otherwise there'd be no difference between believe and make-believe, it makes no sense calling any belief a truth as if they're the same thing. How has our world become so comfortable with such a ridiculous way to view thinking? You know, why are we so afraid of calling something out that isn't true? You know, perhaps we simply don't realize how dangerous it really can be and could be to build a foundation on top of a contradiction. What's even more is that then we want to blame, or some people want to blame God for how confusing life and reality is. And I can just see God, I'm talking about the real one, shaking his head and just patiently waiting for someone to acknowledge the truth about him and the reality of him. You know, he's saying this, the same as he said to Isaiah. He's saying, come now, let's reason together. He's saying, let's think about this. You know, we see God somewhere else saying even that he says, my arm is, he says it's still stretched out. Reach out and grab it. So we talked about belief and truth. Now I'd like to talk about, is it true or false, and how to deal with that. You know, we've got to address things honestly and openly if we're ever going to grow healthier as a culture. You know, you can't build on multiple foundations and then be surprised when cracks appear. And you know those type of cracks that you step on a crack, break your mother's back, you trip and embarrass yourself. And just me, okay, we'll keep moving. You know, these foundations they'll also pull away from each other. They just always do. And Koukl explains this even more so in a very similar way later on in his book. And he says this. He says, confused talking leads to confused thinking. Some beliefs are true and others aren't. The difference matters. And if a story is not accurate to reality, it's not any kind of truth at all. So it can never be my truth or your truth, even though we may believe it. It can only be our delusion or our mistake or our error or whatever else you may want to call it, but it could never be our truth. Okay, so maybe it's time. It's It's time to call the proverbial spade a spade. And my question to you is, are you willing to put your beliefs to the test? Are you willing to stop holding them privately? Do you want to know why this is so important that we do this? The real reason we bought into this whole private belief thing, it's because we don't even really know why we believe what it is we say we believe. And it's so rare to find a person who's actually thought through their beliefs. Of course, then, those types of people we're afraid to say something about them because someone might make fun of our ideas. So we hold them dear while not knowing if all we're holding on to is thin air. So get out there, talk to someone who believes differently than you do, and let them share their views safely and expect the same from them in return. Then be honest about the strengths and weaknesses of your arguments. And again, as God said to Isaiah, he's saying to us again today, come now, come on. He's saying, come on, let's reason together. So we want to know what you think about this topic. Let's discuss in the comment section below. And also feel free to let us know about any other topics that you'd like us to cover in the future. And again, make sure to check out Greg Koukl's book, The Story of Reality. The link's right in the description below. And we really appreciate it, again, when you connect with us on our YouTube channel, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as always, you'll hear me say this over and over again, but it's true that you matter. And the way that you look at this world around you, that matters to us. That's why all of our content is meant to lead, guide, and mentor you to always think clearly, know truly, and live fully. We'll see you next time.